There are performances that entertain us, and then there are performances that become part of who we are. For millions of viewers across Australia and around the world, Rachael Carpani didn't just play a character on television. She became someone we invited into our homes every week, someone whose journey we followed like a dear friend, someone whose smile could light up the harshest outback landscape. On December 7th, 2025, at just 45 years old, Rachael passed away after years of quietly battling an illness that so many women face in silence. Her family shared the news 8 days later, describing her final moments as peaceful. Today, we're not here to focus on how her story ended. We're here to remember how she lived, how she created, how she advocated, and how she left this world a little bit better than she found it. This is the story of Rachael Carpani. Born on August 24, 1980 in Sydney, Australia, Rachael grew up in a world far removed from the dusty cattle stations she would later bring to life on screen. The daughter of Australian and American parents, she carried within her a blend of cultures, perspectives, and dreams. Even as a young girl, Rachael was drawn to storytelling, not just consuming it, but creating it. There's something magical about a child who looks at the world and sees not just what is, but what could be, who sees a backyard and imagines it as a stage, who looks in the mirror and practices becoming someone else entirely. She attended the Australian Theatre for Young People, honing her craft during those formative years when passion meets discipline, when you learn not just to act, but to understand the human heart you're trying to portray. But here's what made Rachael different from so many aspiring performers. She wasn't chasing fame, she was chasing truth, the kind of authentic, grounded storytelling that makes you forget you're watching someone act at all. Jodi Fountain and a phenomenon. In 2001, Australian television introduced something revolutionary. McLeod's Daughters wasn't just another drama, it was a declaration that stories about women, their strength, their complexity, their dreams, deserved center stage. And at the heart of this phenomenon was a 21-year-old actress stepping into the role of Jodi Fountain. Jodi was the mechanic, the tomboy, the loyal friend with grease under her fingernails and vulnerability in her eyes. She was the character who proved you didn't need to be polished or perfect to be the heroine of your own story. Rachael inhabited this role for 8 years, nearly 180 episodes. That's not just a job, that's a relationship, a commitment, a piece of your soul invested in every scene, every line, every moment. What made her portrayal so powerful was the authenticity she brought to every frame. Jodi wasn't a caricature of a rural woman. She was real, flawed, growing, learning, making mistakes, and getting back up again. Viewers saw themselves in her, the girl who didn't quite fit in, the woman trying to find her place, the friend who showed up no matter what. For 8 years, Rachael showed up too, through early call times and long days under the Australian sun, through emotional scenes that required her to dig deep into places we all keep guarded, through the pressure of carrying a show that had become a cultural touchstone. And she did it with grace, humor, and a work ethic that her co-stars still speak about with admiration. When Bridie Carter, who played Tess, described Rachael as the baby of their McLeod's Daughters family, she painted a picture of someone who brought life, laughter, and joy to set, someone whose energy was infectious, whose talent was undeniable, whose courage would become even more apparent in the years to come. Beyond the Outback. After McLeod's Daughters concluded in 2009, Rachael did what many talented artists do. She explored. She took on different roles, different challenges. She appeared in American television, including NCIS Los Angeles, proving her versatility extended beyond the Outback. But life, as it often does, had other plans. Plans that would test her in ways no script could prepare her for. For 13 years, Rachael lived with pain that doctors couldn't diagnose, symptoms that were dismissed, minimized, or attributed to other causes. In 2021, she found herself hospitalized with severe abdominal pain, and finally, after more than a decade, she received an answer: endometriosis. 1 in 10 women live with this condition. 1 in 10, yet the average time to diagnosis is 7 to 10 years. Rachel's journey was even longer. Here's where her story takes on a different kind of courage. She could have kept this private. She could have stayed silent, as so many feel pressured to do. Instead, she spoke up. She used her platform to shine a light on a condition that affects millions but remains under-researched and under-discussed. She talked about the reality of living with chronic pain, about the frustration of not being believed, about the importance of advocating for your own health when the system fails you. This wasn't easy. Opening up about personal health challenges never is, especially in an industry that often values image over authenticity. But Rachael had always chosen truth over comfort. The final act. In 2024, Rachael returned to Australian television in a recurring role on Home and Away. For fans who had missed seeing her on screen, it felt like a homecoming. She was doing what she loved. She was creating again. Those who worked with her during this time described someone who remained passionate about her craft, who showed up fully present despite the challenges she faced, who made people laugh between takes and brought depth to every scene. When her family announced her passing on December 15th, they used words that matter, unexpectedly but peacefully, words that honor both the shock of loss and the grace of her final moments. Her sister Georgia, in sharing this deeply personal news with the world, reminded us that behind every public figure is a private life, a family, a person who was loved for who they were, not just what they did. The tributes that poured in from co-stars, friends, and fans around the world painted a picture of someone extraordinary, not because she was famous, but because of how she treated people, how she lived her values, how she used whatever time she had to make a difference. Rachael Carpani's story reminds us that influence isn't measured in years, but in impact. That a life doesn't need to be long to be significant, that what we create and how we treat others echoes far beyond our final moments. To the millions who welcome Jodi Fountain into their homes each week, thank you for loving the character Rachael brought to life with such care. To those fighting their own battles with chronic illness, particularly endometriosis, know that your pain is real, your struggle is valid, and you deserve to be heard. And to Rachel's family, friends, and loved ones, please know that her work touched countless lives. The laughter she brought to set, the authenticity she brought to screen, and the advocacy she brought to an important cause will continue to ripple outward. Some lights burn brightly, but briefly. They illuminate the world around them, casting warmth on everyone fortunate enough to stand in their glow. And when they fade, the darkness feels deeper for a moment. But here's the beautiful truth about light. Even after the source is gone, what it illuminated remains visible. The paths it revealed stay clear. The warmth it generated continues to radiate through those it touched. Rachael Carpani's story reminds us that influence isn't measured in years, but in impact. That a life doesn't need to be long to be significant. That what we create and how we treat others echoes far beyond our final moments. To the millions who welcome Jodi Fountain into their homes each week, thank you for loving the character Rachael brought to life with such care. To those fighting their own battles with chronic illness, particularly endometriosis, know that your pain is real, your struggle is valid, and you deserve to be heard. And to Rachel's family, friends, and loved ones, please know that her work touched countless lives. The laughter she brought to set, the authenticity she brought to screen, and the advocacy she brought to an important cause will continue to ripple outward. Some lights burn brightly, but briefly. They illuminate the world around them, casting warmth on everyone fortunate enough to stand in their glow. And when they fade, the darkness feels deeper for a moment. But here's the beautiful truth about light. Even after the source is gone, what it illuminated remains visible. The paths it revealed stay clear. The warmth it generated continues to radiate through those it touched.